I had worked with in Cincinnati. My wife and I, when we were in Indianapolis, at that time was station WFBM, has now changed its call letters. But when we were there, I worked late at night.
Was your wife on the radio too?
I met my wife at a radio station in South Bend, and she was a copywriter down there. And eventually we moved to Indianapolis, and I worked until after midnight. And at that time, Walt was the all-night man in Cincinnati. And as clever as he is now, he was extremely popular down there. And we listened to him, and I thought, boy, what a thing it would be to work with him, because he'd be just funny as the dickens. And when I went to Cincinnati, I found myself working across the table from Walt. I'd maybe do the newscast. And then eventually I got to work with him on radio. And he was so extremely popular on radio that the station, of course they had television then, they thought that they would like to see what they could do with him on television. In other words, why not take that popular over to the other side, too? Work both sides of the aisle. And I went in as the second banana, so to speak. I'm working with Walt on television, and from that evolved the Wally Phillips Show, with it also ran me in the cast. And when we came up to Chicago, we tried to continue it.
Did you come here as a team?
Well, it wasn't really a team. It was billed as a team. Technically, well, I don't like to say as a team, because it would put me on a par with Walt, and I certainly wasn't. It was really the Wally Phillips Show still, and but we did come up together, same time, same day, same hour, same train, and then we had the show, and I think it must have lasted for 2 or 3 years, off and on.
And then we moved over to television.
And the show kind of fell by the wayside. One of the things we used to do, Walt was the forerunner of he was more than a Johnny Carson.
Yep.
But he was the host of a show, and we had bits, funny little skits. I played different characters, and we had the orchestra, vocalists, and the whole thing. It was a big variety show. After we'd been there a while, Herb Lyon, who at that time had a column he was a showbiz columnist, similar to Cup.
The Tribune.
Only with the Tribune. And he was incorporated into the show because he had ready access to the stars that were coming to town on a first-name basis. And so you didn't have to really go out and hunt for anybody. You'd say, well, Herb would say, how would you like to be on with me? Well, they knew that meant an item in the column, and so it was easy to get them.
And it all progressed from there.
Yeah.
That's marvelous. Bob Bell is with us, and Jack, I know you've been holding on a long time with a question. Are you still with us?
Yeah, I got a couple questions for Bob.
Okay.
Bob, I'm a little bit older. I was 36, and I was about 12 or 13 when Bozo came on. But I was a big fan of Andy Starr. I enjoyed watching Andy Clyde and the Three Stooges. Yeah. Can you still do Andy Starr?
Well, I don't know. I haven't tried that in a long time. Well, I don't know if I can. The voice has changed over the years. And some of the character things I used to try to do don't come as easily as they used to.
How long was Andy Starr on Channel 9?
About 9 years, I think.
That's a long time. And Jack remembers, and of course I remember.
Rush home from school.
Yeah.
About 4 o'clock, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was around 3:30, 4 o'clock.
And there he was, sitting out in front of the old Odeon Theater, come in every day, straighten up a bit, and say hello to the boys and girls, and watch the Three Stooges and Andy Clyde.
Yeah.
And I had something else I wanted to tell you, Bob. You may find it gratifying. I helped co-sponsor an Indo-Chinese refugee family. Well, now they're immigrants. They've been here 4 years. And a lot of these kids, the first thing they discover on TV is Bozo.
Yeah?
I get nagged to make out postcards for the grand prize game. And never bring up the tickets because I know the situation and never could be on there. And I watched the show with them on Sunday, the WGN special. And they were surprised. I guess you did on this show the weather reports. You do the weather reports yourself, don't you?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would sit off camera and as part of the Bozo show to update it, since our tapes run about a week late. Mm-hmm. And I would just do the live cut-ins on the weather. Mm-hmm. But it's amazing, though, isn't it? How it doesn't make any difference where the kids are from. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make nationalities doesn't mean a thing. Clowns and circuses seem to be it just transcends everything.
Well, Bob, what I want to know, are you going to be staying in Chicago? What's your future plans? My
future plans are to move from Chicago, and at this point we own a home in California, and so eventually we'll be moving out there.
Well, we're sure going to miss you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Nice to have you in the audience.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. This is WGN Chicago. Wayne? Hello, Wayne. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Come on in.
Hello, Eddie. Hello, Bob.
Hi, Wayne.
I would just like to say, Eddie, I enjoy listening to your show every night.
Thank you very much.
And, Bob, I was wondering, when you got your check every week from WGN, who did they make it out to, Bozo or Bob Bell?
No, they made it out to not Bose. I'm afraid I'd have had a little tough time cashing that at the bank. But fortunately, they found a way to make it out, and that's the important part of it.
Also, how did you develop the voice for Bozo? Because you sound so different talking, in your voice and Bozo's voice.
And that evolved because of the fact that the gentleman that owns the entire Bozo thing, Larry Harmon, is the Bozo on the cartoons. What we try to, in Bozo on the cartoons, has adventures of one sort and another. And what they tried to do originally was make the transition from cartoon to me in the studio as if that cartoon was my adventure. In other words, and so I tried to emulate the voice on the cartoon as closely as I could. That was in the beginning, but then as it turned out, I found out that the voice in the cartoon was a little difficult for me to sustain day after day, so eventually it evolved into a kind of a cartoon voice, but more comfortable with my own voice.
I was wondering if I could say goodbye to Bozo and tell him how much I enjoyed him watching him all these years. Could you do his voice?
Yeah.
How you doing, Bo?
Wayne? Glad to have you aboard, buddy. Sure appreciate your call.
I really enjoyed watching you all these years, and I'm going to miss you a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. My Lord, it's a minute after 2 o'clock in the morning. You still awake, Bob?
Yeah.
He's still awake.
Up and jumping.
591-7200. This is WGN Radio Chicago, his final appearance, and we're certainly glad to have it with us on the air this morning on WGN. Marty is back for a report of news, and Bob and I are going to do this. We're going to sit here and listen to the report. We'll chat with Tom Stilling on weather.
Help yourselves a little more, Chief.
Well, Bob Bell is just a genuinely nice guy, as I said to you before. And I know I've recounted this before, but I will always remember the way in which Bob is pitched in during our telethons, talking to the young people who've come up to the fish bowls and so forth. A fellow of Bob's stature would be able to put in an appearance for an hour or two and walk away and be happy to have him even for that period of time. But instead, he would arrive on the scene at 6 or 6:30 in the morning, and he would be there through the entire day, which I think is just another in the many testaments that we've been hearing all evening long of what a nice man he is and how dedicated he is. And besides being a terrific on-air performer. He's just a nice person to work with, and he's going to be sorely missed around our station, I'll tell you that.
Thank you, Tom.
That's all right, Bob. It's been awful nice to work with you, and I hope you keep in touch with all of us.
My pleasure, Tom. You're aces in what you do, and if I may return the compliment, you're a terrifically nice person.
Well, thank you, Bob. Sounds like we've got
It's been a pleasure to know you.
Well, it's been a pleasure to know you too, Bob. And this was not.
We often pass one another in the hall, and you're usually on your way to one of your many appearances. And I've never really had an opportunity to sit and talk with you at any great length. But I hope that now that I've got a little more time, maybe I'll be able to cement our friendship a little closer.
Well, we've got the Bob Bell Memorial Table down here in the WGN cafeteria.
Hey, we're going to name a whole wing of the building the Bob Bell Memorial Wing. I'll tell you that.
What we'll do is we'll take the executive offices, we'll put a sign up and we'll say, "This end, the end that Bozo built."
You know, I got to tell you something, Eddie. I was off last night, as you know. I have Monday nights off, and I got up early this morning, which is something I don't often have a chance to do because I work late at night with you, and I'm sleeping in during the morning. But I had a chance to watch Bozo this morning, and you know something? I'll tell you, the way Bob treats those youngsters on that show is really nice. There was a young fella who made just one ball. And he missed the second one, which was a disappointment to him. You could see that little face fall. And yet Bob was as congratulatory to that little one as he was to anybody who would have made the whole group of them. And that's got to be important to a young person. Mm-hmm. In this very competitive world, it's pretty important that you reassure a young person that he or she is a success, despite the fact that they may not be, hitting all of them at once. And it's just, I think, a small way in which Bob communicates what a nice person he is.
Well, a very good point. It really is. Tom, I thank you, and I know Bob thanks you.
Well, Bob, you take care, and we'll be in touch.
I sincerely hope so, Tom.
Okay.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, Eddie. See you later.
Talk to you soon.
All right, Ed.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
It's 13 minutes after 2 o'clock. Bob Bell, WGN TV, here at WGN Radio. I've heard this story over the years, and I would like once and for all for you to clear this up. Did a little child ever once, when you walked up to him on TV, say a no-no?
No, never. Never happened. And that story and the rumor has persisted over the years, and it never happened. We can say that with all clear conscience because, as you know, I'm not even sure. I think it still exists, but we have an audio tape that runs on this station because it's done for a number of reasons. Sometimes a client will come up and say that an announcer read the wrong address or the name of the product wasn't presented properly, and we have a backup so that we can verify one way or the other.
We call that a logger tape.
Yeah, and or a transcriber or whatever you want to call it. But we also had it on television. And so we back-checked after the rumor had persisted for such a long period of time, and would reintroduce itself after maybe 2 or 3 months. It would crop up again as if it happened yesterday, and so then we went back through our tapes, and then we checked with the people on the air, the engineering crew, in the control room, and after we had satisfied ourselves about that, we went back to the transcriber and listened to that, and it never happened.
So it was just a lot of nonsense. It
was, and rumors will start, and but this one keeps resurfacing all the time, and that's a strange thing.
Glad to get to the truth of it.
Yeah.
We have another little surprise for Mr. Bell. It's Wizzo!
It's Wizzo! Doody-doo!
Greetings from Zulaku.
Yeah.
And Zulu, the wizard.
Glad to see you, Wiz. Do some of your tricks on radio, will ya?
What do you think I am, a magician?
Hi, Wizzo.
Oh, boy. There's a guy that dates back a lot of years.
Marshal Brodien, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, and how are you?
Pretty good, sir.
Glad to see
We
you.
couldn't have this show without a visit from the Wizzo.
One of the all-time greats. You know, he brings it off as if it's just sort of a little fly-by-night of the mystical, magical things that he does. But why, Wizzo is a pro of all pros.
Well, Bob, you're the greatest. You know that.
Marshal, I hope that you never leave the show.
All right.
The kids would surely miss that. That's
I enjoy doing it, but we're sure going to miss you. I'll tell you that. That's for sure.
There's a man who's mystified people for a long time. What was the club that you worked in, Marshal, years ago?
Oh, many years ago, I worked at the Cairo Supper Club on Sheridan Road as a hypnotist.
Yeah.
But God, that's a long time ago.
Oh,
I can't remember that long back.
that was my first introduction to you. I remember that.
That's right.
That was a lot of fun.
Sure was.
And before that, some rare moments at Riverview Park.
Right. I was a sideshow barker out there for a few years.
How long have you been associated with Bozo Circus now?
Well, as Wizzo, about 15 years, and prior to that, I used to appear frequently as a magician, as Marshal Brodien, performing magic.
That's right, he's a guest magician.
Right.
So you've been around a long time.
Yeah.
Quite a while.
Tell me something, Dave.
When you see that dignified Marshal Brodien on a stage, the transition to Wizzo is... I can't believe it.
You mean there's a difference?
In the turned-up shoes.
Well, look at you. Look at you when you're walking down the street when no one knows you're Bozo.
Well, that's my... that sort of thing has been mentioned before, but not many people now, having been associated with the Wizzo for so long, don't realize what a dignified gentleman and businessman. Wow, talk about...
That's right.
Under that getup. And those fabulous Marshal Brodien magic tricks marketed throughout the world, with his face on every one of them. He insisted on that.
Of course. But he's a big success.
You have hours of fun entertaining your family and friends.
Yeah.
There's a little commercial here.
Yeah.
Almost as familiar as Lynn Burton.
Right.
Did you ever hear him do his sideshow routine?
No, I haven't.
All right, Marshal. Here we go.
At Riverview Park?
Step right up, ladies and
Step
gentlemen.
right up, you'll see the monkey girl with long black shaggy hair just like a monkey, 2 rows of teeth in the upper jaw like the anthropoid, 8 pouches on the side of her mouth where she can store food for days at a time if necessary. You'll see the man who swallows swords, sabers, keyhole saws, wrecking bars, toe pokers, bayonets, lighted the end tubes. You'll see and hear the human volcano, Sarah Sue, the mystery girl from India, the anatomical wonder, the man with the disappearing stomach. And it goes on and on and on.
Oh, that's marvelous. And you used to get paid to do that, huh?
Right.
At good old Riverview Park. That's marvelous. You going to miss Bose?
I sure am. I missed Riverview Park, and I'm going to miss Bose, too.
Yeah, well, Marshal, it's been a
great
wonderful
times together.
association. As I said, we've talked to these various people. That's what made the show really go. Is we had such a variety of things, and each one of the characters had his own audience.
Did you ever do a trick with Bozo and have him ruined it on you?
Well, I don't remember that. Once in a while,
I can follow me, you know.
Yeah, once in a while he'll say pour some green water in the glass and it'll turn out to be red water.
Well,
that always gets a laugh.
Well, there's nothing more, what would I say, not frustrating, but to have a magician's sleight of hand or magic exposed, blow a trick, you're not supposed to do that. But, and I'm sure I did that a number of times.
That happens once in a while.
Yeah?
But it's fun.
Even with the best of you, huh?
Right.
Cover it up and go right ahead, huh?
No.
Well, I know, Marshal, that you worked a long number of years with this man, and you, of course, as the rest of us, realize the impact of his work, and will miss him, and I'm sure you'll do everything you can to make the new performer as comfortable as you can, but it's going to be tough for a while.
Yeah.
It sure is, and...
You know what I thought? If the guy isn't good, you can make him disappear.
You could do that if you wanted to. I know that.
That's funny.
Bob, we're going to miss you, really.
Thanks, Marshal. Thank you very much. And
Real experience working with you. It's something I'll never forget.
Well, I don't think I'll ever forget the experience myself. But
and we're out with a bunch of grown men, act like a bunch of kids, and get
away with it, right?
Yeah.
Do-do-do.
But he's the same way. He'd never behave that way off camera without the makeup, I'm sure.
Oh, no, he's very formal. Very formal.
I've had people come up to me and say, do you know that guy that was on the Bozo show?
Yeah.
He's really weird. You know him? And I'd say, yeah, I know him. They'd say, we figure you did because you do magic and must know him. And I'd say, yeah, I know him. And that would be it. And then a week later, 2 weeks later, they'd say, I'd run into the same person. They'd say, by the way, I heard you were the guy. Why didn't you tell me? You didn't ask. You just said, do you know him? And I said, yeah, I know him.
That's the way to handle it. That's the way to handle it. If they want to see the show, let them turn on the set.
Yeah.
Right.
Marshall, we thank you very much. It's a very, very late hour, and I know you've got to do some things in the morning.
Oh, thank you for allowing me to talk to him on the radio. I'm not good on radio, but it was fun talking to you people.
No, you're just fine on the radio, and it's again been an experience for us. We thank you, and Bob thanks you, and I'm sure that even in retirement, he will find a way to maintain this friendship as, these things are important.
Right.
Good luck, Marsh. And
good luck to you, Bob, and
I'm sure you've got a fabulous new set that'll be on the market come Christmas time.
well, we're going to try it.
We'll look forward.
Thank you, and we'll talk to Marshall when it comes out.
Okay, thank you, Eddie.
Thank you. God bless.
God bless you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
See you, Marsh.
Bye.
Well, you really worked with a whole pack full of talented people over the
That's what
years.
I've said all along, that these are extremely professional people and first class in their own right, and without them, the whole thing would never have worked.
Well, we're going to give your fans a chance to express their feelings. 591-7200, their telephone number. Lane, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi, Ed.
Hi, you're on.
How's it going?
Good.
First of all, I'd like to say it's an extreme pleasure to talk to the Mr. Bell, Bob Bell,
Thanks, Lane.
a Chicago legend, if I can say so. I have a question. When I was in grade school and high school, there was an expression that went around, and it went something like, that's a bozo no-no. And I don't know if that has any basis, if it was something that happened on the show, or I know you touched on something else I had been wondering about, the rumor about a youngster saying something during the grand prize game or something.
Yeah. No, it never happened, and it was never the utterance. It was a bozo no-no. That was never said.
Nothing like that.
Nothing. Nothing ever. You would think that in 23 years that someone would have said something. You might even have. It might have been entirely possible, that in the manner in which we did the show, which was completely ad lib, we had no formal scripts to follow. It would almost seem not unusual for one of us to have said something at one time or another. But that never happened either. And we're grateful for it, but it's entirely conceivable that it could have happened. Because that microphone is open and no one is censored. And for the most part, when this was supposed to, any one of these things was supposed to have happened, was when we were live.
Right.
And there was no editing, no tape to stop, or no way of avoiding anything like that. But it didn't happen, unfortunately. And but it's
you know who had experiences like that? When Art Linkletter was doing a show with kids. Now he had a television show called People Are Funny, and I think he also had another show called Kids Are Funny Too. I think it was the name of the show. A couple of kids did say unusual things, and you know what? Maybe this comes from, there was a kid who once said something extremely funny, although extremely out of place, on Howdy Doody, when Buffalo Bob was visiting in the Peanut Gallery, and he put a microphone in front of a youngster, and I have a copy of that tape, and I know that Kermit Schaefer, the blooper expert, also preserved it. It's on a number of the blooper albums that are out, and it's a little kid, in one case on with Art Linkletter, who said something very, very out of line, and another one on Howdy Doody. So maybe that's where it originated from.
It could be.
We just thought it happened on every kid's show.
Yeah, uh-huh.
But not here.
Oh, well, everybody in the world has worked with somebody that has said something. In other words, there have been things said on the air, on radio or on television,
Absolutely.
When they thought the mic was closed.
Uh-huh.
And I'll bet there are 1,000 fellows that say, yeah, I worked with him. I was sitting right there the day he said it. Well, it was not entirely so.
Yeah. So that clears that one up for you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye. This is WGN in Chicago. Hello, Bill.
Hi, Eddie.
How are you?
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Bill.
I'm a longtime fan of yours. This is quite an honor. Your work has given me a lot of pleasure
Thank
throughout
you.
the years. And now my children, age 5.5 and 3.5, they've become big fans of the Bozo Show. I was curious, how did your being hired as Bozo in the first place, what was the chain of events that led to that?
We had discussed a little earlier that I had worked with Wally Phillips as doing some character parts when he was on television, and I was already a staff announcer and belonged to the station at the time, and so having had the experience of doing different character things. With makeup and voices and whatnot, that when they decided to have a clown, they came to me. I was convenient, and the only one on staff that was doing anything like that. And when they wanted a clown character and the clown voice, they came to me and asked me if I would do it, and I took it on just like any other thing that I'd ever done, any other part that I'd ever done.
So it just sort of happened like that?
That's all there was to it.
That's amazing.
And the rest of it is it just evolved the way it did.
Oh.
But when you work, well, I suppose for anybody, if they say, "Can you do this?" and well, you don't toss $1 away, or you don't tell the boss, "No, I can't do it." You say, "Sure, I can do it." Then you figure out a way. But that's the way it started.
Yeah, you used to do the Andy Starr character for, you'd fill in for Fraser once in a while in Garfield Goose, wouldn't you?
That's right, yeah. Fraser asked me when he was on vacation to sit in with the goose. And the funny part of it is that after I'd been there for a couple of days, I could understand that goose talking. And then you know that you're kind of cracking up a little bit.
You're losing it,
You could understand him, sure, and he wasn't saying a word, just clack, clack.
You're home afraid you understand more what the goose is saying than your wife.
Yeah. Romberg Rabbit would move his lips, and I'd know exactly what he was saying.
Could Bozo say goodbye to my sons Dan and Rob? I'm going to be taping this for them.
Sure. I'll call him in. Hey, Boz, say hello to Dan and Rob, will you?
Hi, Rod. Hi, Dad. Glad you came around. I was talking to your dad a little while ago, and he said, I hope you're not staying up really late. And besides that, be sure you eat your lunch and do good in school, all right? Check with you later.
Thank you so much, Bob.
That's marvelous. Thank you, Bill.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. This is WGN Radio Chicago. It's 2:30 in the morning. You must have 23 years worth of memories you carry away, and yet during the course of those 23 years, being the private person you weren't into granting interviews. I think I saw 2 Tribune magazine stories in those 23 years. There were a few other things, but generally speaking, you maintained total privacy for this character. And the real shocker for me was last week for CBS, you let them in the dressing room with that camera when you were getting into makeup. That's the only time you ever let anybody see that, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was in those closing days. I consented to it, much against my will. I never would before that. But when they were doing the other stories, they were separating Bozo and myself, and showing pictures and so forth. And although I never really wanted to do that, I figured, well, as long as they're letting the cat out of the bag, and I left it entirely up to the station if they wanted to reveal the whole thing. And that's the reason I did it.
I knew when I saw it, though, that I would never